Good morning, 21st of May today, Sunday morning. Beautiful day here today. The weather seems to have changed now. We've starting to get more consistent weather. It's starting to perk things up and everything seems to be growing well with the extra sunshine. I'm sorry I haven't posted for 5 weeks. I've had quite a few callers saying, why have you stopped posting? I've got to be honest, a few reasons. The first one, the weather wasn't good and I had so much work to do after losing the polythene covers on the skins on the tunnels. I've had that to contend with. Because the weather hasn't been good, people weren't coming to collect plants and I was desperate for space. In the top greenhouse where all my own leeks were, they started to get spoilt, and I've got to be honest, I was embarrassed to do a video up there because the leeks were crammed in. A lot of them have been spoilt. They've gone too long. A lot of them had got bent. There was just far too much stuff in the greenhouse, and because weather conditions, it was holding everything back. Never mind, it's turned around. We've started to get right on top now. I am planted up. I didn't get the choice that I was wanting to. I've ended up having to put a few small leeks in from 2-litre pots. A few plants that actually hadn't sold, a few spares I had after sales orders had gone out. So I've put those in, but never mind. I'll walk you around the garden, let you have a look at everything. There's a few interesting things to see, and I will mention a few things as we go around. I'm in the first poly tunnel at the moment. It's still a bit of a mess. People have just finished collecting plants. I've still got some baskets and that to go from here, but we've got a few onions and that in here we'll take a look at. Right, if you remember, I put a lot of onions up in the 2-litre pots. They're growing very nicely. That's my own onion on the back there. They're just in 2-litre pots up to this point, and you can see they actually changed. This is Canto. That's for the 250 gram class. They're looking very nice. Still got a few tomato plants in here, some peppers in here. Couple of giant cabbage. I did try and cross some giant cabbage. I tried to cross Brigadier with Cornish Giant. I've only kept 2 plants, that's the outcome. They're just in 5-litre containers. Still got some begonias, a few basket plants on the back. On this side we have a few Centurion onion sets. They're just for eating, but they did make the show grade last year. I think they were 3rd up in our show. I've got some very late set DN2s over there, and they're looking quite nice. They're in 2-litre pots. They've made good growth. I think I'll put them into the containers down the garden. So quite happy. I've got a few bits of lettuce and things just grown in pots. We've still got a few leeks just in 1-litre pots, very late set for stock plants. Got a couple of dozen left in 2-litre pots, but I've still got a couple of people actually coming. There's a guy coming on Wednesday to collect some. We've got comfrey in here, not comfrey, basil, sorry. We've got lettuce in here. I've got a few beans planted in pots. I'm growing quite a bit of stuff in pots. Some nice bedding begonias just to fill the tubs up. A few tomatoes, spring onions, and just a few basket plants. I'm going to put you on stop and we'll go down to the bottom. Right, this is down the very bottom tunnel. As we see, the covers are all back on. Fortunately, 2 weekends in a row, I got one section done each weekend. I had a few pals down. I'm very thankful to them to get the covers on. So it helped to put me back on top. All the tomato plants are potted up into 30 or 35 litre containers, and I've only used the soil that I've removed from the trenches to plant my leeks. I've just put them in there. So there will be weeds grown, but we'll see how these do. The first lot are Damares. There's 10 Damares, and then there's 10 Maisie, and I've just put some very small ones at the far end, a Pero I've got off a friend. So that's the tomatoes. I've made certain that I've got a double wire, straining wire on here this year, because the weight of the tomatoes last year was pulling the framework down. And I've also tied them onto the hoops as well. I normally don't feed. I haven't got time to start feeding everything, so I will top dress with Terra Plus. Moving up, we move stock onions. They're starting to produce the heads now, if we look. I've got them all tied in up this side. I've got the other side still to do. but there are heads starting to pop up all over on the onion plants. Stock's looking quite good. I'm well pleased with them, and I've got plenty of it. First row of blanch leeks. This is my new one, Princess C. These are looking very good. Some very long ones in here. I'll have some probably on 16 inches in length now. They're looking good all the way up. There's 20 plants in there, and I'm well pleased with them. Even now, I mean, it's still early days, but it's very hot in the tunnel. So as you can see, I've rigged shading up, and I will do that all the way through on the pot leeks. I'm going to make certain that they don't get burnt this year as they did last year. Some of these, well, this trench has all got collars on, ranging from 15-inch collars up to 18-inch collars. They're up on the framework. Moving along one. Again, this is another trench of blanch leeks. These first ones, the early ones here, these are again Princess C. It's my new blanch leek, and they're looking very nice. There's a few, I think there's 5 plants which I didn't bother to put collars on at all. I thought I'll just let them go. They've made a good circumference, and as you can see, they are stepping up each time, so they're continuing to come up. I've just cut a collar there to show you what I'm doing. This is pipe lagging. This is 42 centimetre pipe lagging. This one's cut to 15 inches. That one is cut to 12 inches. And I'll just test a few different pieces, but basically you just open that up and it clips around your plant. If need be, I will remove the bottom foliage, but I would cut flags off as well and just leave the stem and put a collar on. They'll be tied into the cane as we see along here. So I've got the pipe lagging on, and then I put black damp course on the outside, a couple of ties to keep them nice and straight, and they're looking very nice. So again, Princess C, the first half. As we move along, we move on to RMG, which is Ronnie Gill's breeding. This is what Niall Curry won down at Malvern with last year, best exhibit and show. And again, I think I've got 15-inch collars on most of them. 1 or 2 longer ones I did put 18-inch collars on. And on this side we can see the shading that I've rigged up. Moving along. Now, as we move into here, we'll see, as you can see, I've still got a lot of hanging baskets. They've been blocking the light out, so it's just as well I didn't have leeks planted. I'm just starting to move the baskets out now. But the baskets are all looking nice. Right, this first trench, I've tried to stick with single breeds as far as I could. This is King Charles leek. I've got the label down there. King Charles. This was a new breeding I had 2 years ago. It is a Pendle seedling crossed with the GSN, and it's looking very nice. I had some beautiful plants, but they did get stretched in the greenhouse. So never mind. I'm hoping that these will stay under the 6 inches. If not, I hope other people who got them, they'll show some under 6 inches. Very clean. It was a very straight leek. It was a beautiful leek. It did grow to 17 inches around. This, I ran short here, so this little batch here, the next 5, they are what I've been selling. These were in 2-litre pots, and I just planted these last night, so they've been removed from a 2-litre pot and put in, so there's still plenty of time. They're not big leeks, these are only maybe 4 inches around, and we are getting late in the season, but it was a very vigorous grower, and I think they'll, certainly do all right. It is a lot paler in colour than the first lot, but it's because it was in a small pot and lacking feed. As we move along, something quite interesting, which we'll all learn by, we come to a dark coloured leek again. Again, it's King Charles, and I'll show you another trench here. This is Prince William. There's 12 in the end of each trench here, and I will tell you about these. Going back to December of last year, 2022, I had leeks in several different areas, and I did have some in a polytunnel, and we got caught with severe frost, which actually I had about 7 or 8 days where each night was reaching -7, -8 and -9 with cold temperatures. Inside the polytunnel was down to -6, and I actually I just dumped 3,000 leeks. because they'd been frosted. But out of those, I decided to keep 12 King Charles and 12 Prince William, and I put them up into 1 litre pots, potted them up. They had been frosted, and I moved them down into these cold polytunnels down here, the one that was remaining with covers on, and they've been down here with no heating at all, open ends. All the wind hit them, the cold weather hit them. Since then, we've had 2 serious frosts with long spells, 8 or 9 days, where again we had -8, -9, and they've actually been left out in all of that. So they've suffered -8s and -9s, and I do hear people saying, the cold causes leeks to run to seed. Well, they are a winter vegetable, so we'll find out this year. These have had no heating at all. They were grown in a 1 litre pot up until about 4 weeks ago, and because they were looking kind of decent, still growing nicely in a lovely colour, we potted them up into 3 litre pots. And because I'm now short of plants, because I spoilt all my own in the top greenhouse, I've had to plant these, a dozen in each bed. So we learned something from this. They may run to seed, it may be a complete failure, but if not, we've all learned something that we can grow without pampering the plants the way we have done in the past. So again, this bed is King Charles. No heat at all the way through the winter season. And this bed we're moving on to is Prince William. Prince William again is a branch leek seedling from the same head, again crossed with the GSN. It was very long in the early stages and looked like a blanch leek, but as I say, it was a blanch leek seedling. So this is grass off the actual seedling. But as we move down the row, I haven't split these at all. They've all dropped back themselves. They've made short leeks, and some of these have been stretched in the greenhouse as well. You can see where the difference from this plant over here to this one here. These have been grown in heat in the greenhouse. Having said that, my greenhouse I only have set at about 48 degrees. I never pamper them. I'm not looking for hot temperatures throughout the winter, but they have got a much longer foliage. As we see, these flags are hitting the floor. The far end's not. They're much darker. These are a lighter colour. And this is Prince William. So they're nice and short now. They should make the bench. They haven't been nicked, and hopefully we'll see how they perform. They're looking reasonable. Quite happy with them. So in here we've got a bed of King Charles, a bed of Prince William. Plenty of baskets. In here we've got a one which I've called the GSN 2. I actually grew this last year as a first year from a seedling. Beautiful, beautiful straight leek, very much like a Cumbrian. Last year I just didn't say it was called the new Cumbrian, but I think Chris Salino has a new Cumbrian, so I've changed it to GSN 2. I lost the head, the king pod that I had, and thought I was going to lose this leek for this year, so it would have been 1 year miss of one. But right down in the base, when I rubbed the head off, it had some minute pips on, and I set those away very late on, around about Christmas time. And to be honest, these have all been planted from 2 litre pots. They never got put up beyond that. They are a little bit long, but this was a short leek, so I don't mind the length. I only got 18 pips, so I've got the 18 planted in here. They look a little bit long, but we'll just wait and see what they do. But it is a beautiful leek. It's going to be a definite one for the future, for the quality shows. As we move along, we move on to a few Cumbrian. And as you can see, these are Cumbrian on this side. Moving on to this side, these are virus-free Cumbrian. Again, they've been rammed in and they've been stretched a little bit. But again, Cumbrian's a much shorter leek, so I don't mind having a bit of length on these. 2 trenches I've grown on black and white, and 2 trenches I've grown just on open soil. Now as we come along, again, I didn't have enough of these left to fill the trench up, so I come along to this particular one. You can see it's quite long. I've had to put a few long ones in because, as I say, they were stretched up in the top greenhouse. It was quite embarrassing to take people up there, but never mind, we'll see what they end up like. From here onwards, this is the DN1 which I grew last year. Again, they've been stretched a little bit, but I'm only growing these few leeks for heavyweights. It's a very heavy leek, and we'll see how we end up. And I've put 3 of a new one in here. This is Kevin Young's seedling, which it was actually Peter Kerry's breeding. Kevin bought 2 seedlings a couple of years ago, and this was a good one that come out of it. Again, they've been stretched in my greenhouse, but I've put them in for heavy weights. We'll see where they end up. So that's an overall look in this particular tunnel. At least I'm pleased I've caught up a little bit. If we remember a couple of years back, this wall caved in. It dropped over and I lost all the soil out of it. And I was full of mare's tail. And I actually dug the soil out and riddled it to get rid of the mare's tail. Well, as you can see, it's all now back in. And I've got this planted up with onions. The onions at this end weren't set until February the 10th. So they are late. Sorry, not February the 10th, March the 10th. And the ones at the far end, I think there's maybe 15 or 16 plants right at the far end. They were set at Christmas time. So, as we can see, this soil is a little bit impoverished. It was riddled, which I actually don't like doing, but I had to get rid of the mare's tail. And I haven't put any manure into it as yet. I didn't have any. And I haven't put any green manure in because, obviously, we just got the trench built back up again about 3 weeks ago. A good friend of mine, Harry Stillo, he come across and built the wall back up for me. So thank you, Harry. At least you've given me an extra trench to grow from. And then we've got a few stock leeks at the far end and a few more hanging baskets. So things are going all right. I'll just get in the shade a little bit. It's a beautiful morning here. I've still got quite a bit to do. And I'll keep on going. I'll keep on doing the videos now. Hopefully it's given you a little insight as to where we're going. Obviously I show failures as well as successes. So we'll follow through the season and see how these leeks perform. We'll learn something from the growing totally cold or whether they need to be kept indoors. That's great. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. Thanks a lot now. Bye-bye.